Governor Cuomo and legislative leaders, they've agreed to a budget in Albany. The part making the biggest splash, the move to hike the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2018. And Dom, it's not $15 across the board. It's $15 if you're in New York City. As you move north of there, it grades lower. I know some people got a problem with it, and I don't want to tick too many. It makes sense to me. If you're living in Watertown, there's less of a cost of living than if you're living in Midtown. No.
Good point to be made for the folks that live up in Watertown with Fort Drum. I believe that's where Fort Drum is. And an argument to be made of you have less living expenses than opposed to big metropolis of New York City. But Richard, what I was thinking about last night, and you know, you have to tip your hat to Governor Cuomo, because think about this. The last time I recall, it was Bill de Blasio that was leading the call for $15 an hour, and Governor Cuomo said, "Get out of the way. This is my issue."
Sound familiar, right?
Yeah.
Universal pre-K, you can name a few of them, right?
Yes, but Richard, here's the problem that I have. I mean, it's a great victory for those and for the unions, Local 1199. They've been out there advocating for this. They're going to get what they want eventually. But think about this. If you live on the border that technically divides under this agreement, urban and upstate, a block literally could determine what your hourly wage going to be. So it's a bit complicated, but I also, from a political standpoint, tip my hat to this governor, because we've made the point that when he wants something in this state, it's going to get done. And the perfect example is family paid leave. I believe, 12 weeks family paid leave. That issue was important to him after he lost his father, Governor Mario Cuomo. And when watching him out on the stump, as we've all covered him, he kind of made it clear he was going to get that done, and he did.
You know, the math, though, Andrew, I hate to come back to the math, but he's got tax cuts in there. He's got raising the minimum wage. And I still don't know how we're going to pay for all this infrastructure. I'd love it. I think we need it. But they all have a bunch of B's for billions for each of these projects, and some of them, 10 plus. So how exactly does the math add up?
Well, the minimum wage doesn't factor into that.
Right.
I mean, obviously, that's for private businesses. The math doesn't add up. So he's going to have to get some creative financing, as I'm sure he'll work to do, and maybe float some. I don't know. I honestly don't know how he gets through all the spending. But he, as you rightly pointed out, he has proposed just a jumble of spending all over the state. But I would also point out that things like paid family leave, minimum wage, and all of that spending, you think he learned a lesson from the primary challenge he got from Zephyr Teachout when he lost 40% of the vote?
He definitely protected his left flank.
And that's the lesson that I think Hillary Clinton is going to be learning with the...
Because it wasn't just social issues, which she did for this first term and plus. It's now even on some of the economic stuff. I think very fair point. All right, let's get to New Jersey. Atlantic City dealing with a fiscal crisis. The mayor of that city says he's going to have to shut the government down for a few weeks starting next week if the state doesn't pony up at least an $8 million bridge loan now. Governor Christie, for his part, says, don't hold your breath. It's not happening. I talked with the Atlantic City Mayor, Don Guardian, last week. Here's what he had to say in part.
Regardless of what happens with the bills, we run out of money on April 8th. We find a solution for the next 3 weeks, but it's only 6 or 8 or 12 weeks after that we're going to be in the same situation. So the state's going to have to provide the funding.
Okay. Here's my point, Congressman. I hear the governor can argue that he has given and he has tried. He's put in infusion. He took some of the money that was originally for the horse racing, put it into promoting, and even tried to take some controls over. But every bogey that he's put in front of Atlantic City, they've met. They've cut the spending where they've needed to. They've made every hire that's been approved by Trenton. They've done what they're supposed to do. I have sympathy for the mayor here to say, why now all of a sudden governor getting religion on us, and basically what are we going to do? These are essential services, and he's cutting it off, and now he's threatening the assembly speaker if he doesn't go along. He's going to personally campaign against him. It's easy to bang on the governor here, but this time I think it's warranted.
Well, those matters are still under negotiation between the Democrat-controlled New Jersey State Legislature and our Republican Governor, Christie. So we don't know yet whether they'll have a last-minute solution to all of these problems. But I think a lot of New Jerseyans are concerned that the money that was given to Atlantic City over these decades was not well spent.
Fair enough. But hasn't the mayor, with the latest controls that have been put in place, at least adhered to what was demanded by Trenton?
Again, I don't know the details of what the holdup is on the part of either Governor Christie or the Democratic-controlled legislature in Trenton. Hopefully they will work it out, and Atlantic City will use those resources responsibly.
How about the debate? Atlantic City, they're drowning right now. And the governor seems ready to get a big bucket of water and add more to it by putting casinos up north. I get it. We deal with reality, and sometimes it's not always pretty. But it would be the death knell for Atlantic City, I would think, if you're going to take even more gambling customers that make their way down south. They're just going to go north here to two of these proposed casinos, if in fact they get built in the northern part of the state. Fair?
I'm not certain as to whether Atlantic City could handle competition from northern New Jersey, but I'm opposed to casinos in northern New Jersey for
Why?
another reason. I've lived my entire life in northern New Jersey. We live in the most densely crowded part of the most densely crowded state in America, in northern New Jersey. That's us, the most densely crowded place. We don't need more traffic up there. If you want to talk about economic growth in our area, how about infrastructure repair, education reform, tax reform, and how about that Bergen-Hudson light rail? Those are real things that will generate jobs, generate economic growth, and improve the quality of life of the people of northern New Jersey rather than more casinos, which may or may not affect negatively Atlantic City's casino efforts.
One of the big issues here also, Governor Christie wants the power to break union contracts in Atlantic City. That's one of the big disagreements and sticking points. That hasn't been talked about a lot. That's one of the factors involved in all of this.
It's coming to a head. The 8th is the big day here for Atlantic City, and if they don't get it, literally shut out the lights. All right. Coming up next, we're going to lighten things up a little bit. It is March Madness, big weekend, and obviously Monday, the championship game. But the players, sure, they're fired up for the 4 teams to the left, but college athletes are getting madder and madder. Schools and the NCAA raking in mad money, but the players not seeing a cent. Is it fair? Age-old debate. We'll get into that after this.